QTV Nightly News coming to you live from our studios on Kaiba Avenue, and I am Jennifer Sonko. Thanks for joining us here at the main news headlines. Following another outbreak of polio virus type 2 in the Gambia, the Ministry of Health is urging the public to get children vaccinated and to be vigilant for any symptoms of the disease. About 100 migrants and 2 suspected traffickers are in custody after the Gambia Immigration Department intercepted 2 boats on Tuesday in Katong in the West Coast region and Barra in the North Bank region on Tuesday. Worried by threats posed by irregular migration within the sub-region, the ECOWAS Parliament and representatives from the IOM are discussing measures to address the trend. ActionAid International, the Gambia, and ActionAid Italy on Wednesday launched a climate-induced mobility research report. And in international news, Rwandan President Paul Kagame is on course to extend his 24-year rule by another 5 years following yet another landslide presidential election victory. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail today. Thank you for staying with us. This is QTV News and I'm Jennifer Sonko. Following another outbreak of poliovirus type 2 in the Gambia, the Ministry of Health is urging the public to get children vaccinated and to be vigilant for any symptoms of the disease. Lena Igwenyiba engaged the senior vaccine officer at the extended program on immunization under the Ministry of Health, and this is her report.
Polio, a highly contagious disease spread through contaminated food and water, remains a threat despite Africa being declared free of wild poliovirus WPV in August 2020 by the WHO. A single positive case detected is regarded as an outbreak. Sample collected during environmental surveillance at Talinding Darussalam, Kotu and Banjul sewage systems in February 2024 were sent to Dakar for analysis and revealed a positive result of the virus from Banjul. This sample is 99.9% linked to a strain in the West African nation of Guinea-Conakry. Mamanding Kinte, Senior Vaccine Officer at the expanded program on immunization, explains who is most at risk and the symptoms of the disease.
Poliovirus can affect all ages, but children under 5 are mostly affected. And if an individual is affected with polio virus, some of the signs and symptoms is fever, headache, fatigue, and even vomiting. And the most important cardinal sign is paralysis, weakness in the limbs, either hand, leg, or both limbs and both sides. Once paralysis occurs, it is irreversible. This makes polio more deadly and more difficult to manage.
In 1988, when the Global Polio Eradication Initiative (GPEI) was launched, polio was present in more than 125 countries and paralyzed about 1,000 children per day. Thanks to immunization efforts that have reached nearly 3 billion children, the incidence of polio has decreased by 99%. Madam Kinte gives an assurance of the availability of vaccines at all health facilities and urges parents to get children under 5 vaccinated.
Polio, the primary prevention method or strategy is vaccination. The vaccines are free, available in all public health facilities, free of charge, safe and effective. So it is very important as parents and caregivers to go to our routine immunization sites monthly and get these vaccines. And if we want as a nation to eradicate polio and also contribute our quota to polio eradication, we have to ensure that we take our children under 5s routinely to complete all their required polio doses plus other antigens.
This latest outbreak follows the discovery of the type 2 poliovirus in the country in August 2021 in environmental sewage samples from Banjul and Kotu. On that occasion, the Minister of Health declared a public health emergency and embarked on a vaccination campaign in November 2021 and in April and May 2023 for all children under 5. The WHO warns that if one child is affected, all children are at risk. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena Igwenyiba.
Let's get children vaccinated and stay vigilant. Now moving on, about 100 migrants and 2 suspected traffickers are in custody after Gambia immigration officials intercepted 2 boats in Katong in the West Coast region and Barra in the North Bank region on Tuesday, believed to be bound for the Canary Islands. And Sumane Sonyasi tells us more.
Briefing the press at the Tanje Migration Management Center, immigration officials said the boats were intercepted just as they set off to the Canary Islands, where another 2 boats that set off from Gambia waters arrived last week. Mohamed Bah, Deputy PRO of the Gambia Immigration Department, reported an increase in the number of intending irregular migrants in the past few months.
Last night, the Gambia Immigration Department operatives intercepted a boat in Barra, and also on Sunday, early morning on Sunday, the immigration operatives at Katong also intercepted another boat. So the 2 boats, all the would-be migrants, are right now stationed at Tanje at our migration management unit, where we are having them, for our investigations. What happened in Katong is early hours on Sunday morning, a boat was intercepted with 56 migrants. We have 6 females, 48 male, and then we have 53 Gambians, 2 Senegalese and 1 Nigerian in Katong.
Furthermore, Deputy PRO Bah also revealed that there has been an increase in the number of women taking the perilous journey using boats, adding that among those intercepted in Barra were 6 women and some foreign nationals.
These people, they claim to pay $50,000 each for this journey. So we also intercepted 2 of the suspected agents who are believed to be behind these operations, of taking these people to the Canary Island. So they are intercepted, and right now we have them in Tanje, where we are doing our further investigations. Furthermore, we found some materials on the boat, that is 40 horsepower engine with 4 barrels of fuel. So all these are evidence of the trip that they are about to embark on. So in Barra as well, we also intercepted a boat there, that is yesterday, last night, where we intercepted 46 migrants. 44 are believed to be Gambians and 2 are Senegalese nationals. So these interceptions, believed, to be the trend that people are engaging in this would-be migration to the Canary Island.
The Deputy PRO also discourages the public, especially young people, from taking what he says is a risky journey with little chance of survival.
Now what we are urging the general public is for the corporations. Like last year, we intercepted 28 migrant boats, would-be migrant boats. 28 interceptions were done, and then this saved a lot of lives. So we believe that these interceptions are saving a lot of lives and properties. So we want the cooperation of the general public to help us, in this, journey.
The issue of migration in the Gambia is still a major concern and continues to flood the national conversation as hundreds of our most potent workforce continue to die on the high seas. Despite recent interceptions and arrests, migrants using boats continue to leave the shores of the Gambia and Senegal. Ansmane Sonyasi for QTV News.
Worried by the threats posed by irregular migration, especially among youth from within the sub-region, the ECOWAS Parliament is taking practical steps to address the trend. At its ongoing ordinary session in Abuja, representatives of the International Organization for Migration presented the current state of youth migration in the region. Aliu Sise has the rest of that.
The report focused on current irregular migration trends and challenges within West Africa, with great emphasis on the significant instances of internal displacement. It further highlighted the dangers linked with migration, including human trafficking and exploitation. In 2023, an estimated 7.9 million people were internally displaced, with many migrants moving within the region due to economic opportunities, environmental changes, and security issues. Teresa Butler, the IOM's policy and liaison officer, delivered the findings, emphasizing the critical challenges and opportunities in managing migration flows.
From January to May, the number of migrants that have taken this Western African route is already over 15,000 migrants, which means over 300% more than in the same time during previous years.
Deliberation on the floor of the House of the ECOWAS Parliament centered on how to deal with irregular migration. Members attributed irregular migration to the search for better economic opportunities, which needs urgent redress by the governments. Here is Siaka Musa Sama of Sierra Leone and Jibrin Barrow, First Deputy Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament.
We have to ensure that we make our countries attractive for young people. Those of us in governance have failed the young people. Because if you look at the reasons why they are moving, mostly they are going in search of better lives.
So the Western nations, the developed nations, have to look at their policies. Whenever they want to embark on anything, they should understand that such things may have ramification that will create distortion in world economy, that will bring about crises all over the world.
Others including Awaji Inombek Abiante of Nigeria, Samson Ayi of Ghana, and Amadou Kamara of the Gambia respectively, call for review of policies, good governance, and strengthening border control to curb irregular migration process.
Before the fall of Gaddafi in Libya, how many Libyans were migrants outside of Libya? How many of them? Because that country provided leadership. Gaddafi provided for her people. They were there. They didn't go out.
A lot of our young girls, young ladies, have migrated to Qatar, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and so on and so forth, under the auspices to go and engage in domestic servant. What they go through is even worse than what we have identified in the European countries.
We all need to brainstorm and put something in place and make sure that we move from only talking into and move into actions. Let's put our various government into actions. We have this shared majority of responsibility to make sure that these things are perceived in a positive way, because people will keep moving. But let's make sure that the reasons why they are moving, we address those reasons.
The session marks a significant step towards strengthening regional cooperation and managing positive migration flows for development in the sub-region. Reporting for QTV News from Abuja, Nigeria, I am Aliou Cisse.
Aliou Cisse there reporting from the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. From that story, we will go for a short commercial break. And when we come back, we have local and international news stories. Do stay with us.
Hello, boss. Operation launched. Go on, Bomber, go on. I don't understand. What is it, Bomber? Hello, boss. I don't understand. Amazing discounts on all the best products.
But it's really easy to understand. During Buddy Days, take advantage of exceptional discounts up to 50% on tile, sanitary, and light. From June 29th to July 13th, you will be splurging. Buddy Mat, welcome home.
Welcome to the future of transportation in the Gambia. The Bertel-Harding Highway, a 22-kilometer double carriageway, is set to revolutionize travel and connectivity in our beloved country. Roundabouts are essential for maintaining traffic flow. Always yield to vehicles approaching from the left already in the roundabout and signal your exit to inform other drivers. Adherence to traffic rules is crucial. Maintain speed limits, use indicators for lane changes, and be mindful of pedestrian crossings.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jennifer Sonko. Now, when migration and displacement are discussed, little attention is given to those forced to move due to climate change. ActionAid International, the Gambia, and ActionAid Italy on Wednesday launched a climate-induced mobility research report. Lolem Kamara attended, and this is her report.
The report, themed Climate Change Knows No Borders, aims to shed light on the growing issue of displacement caused by extreme weather events and environmental degradation. Ms. Ndela Faikoli, Action Aid the Gambia's executive director, stated that climate change is one of the biggest challenges of our time and directly affects the lives of people in the Gambia. As such, the report highlights the need for immediate action to address the root causes of climate-induced mobility.
And one of the strategic objectives in those areas of work we do is done with communities to build their resilience to cope with climate change, to mitigate the effects of climate change on our lives. And I think as we speak in the Gambia right now, today is 17th July, which is supposed to be the peak of our rainy season, and we are yet to see rainy season in reality. So that's climate change for us, and it's better we take action now than later.
The report, which was a collaborative effort between Action Aid the Gambia and its partner organizations in Italy, includes recommendations for policymakers and other stakeholders to effectively address the issue and protect the rights of climate migrants. Fafa Ocham, head of programs and policies at Action Aid the Gambia, gave a summary of the report's key findings.
We are saying that no NGO, not even the government, should think of discouraging migration. What should be done is to address the core causes of migration, the structural causes of migration, and that is what? Poverty. What can we do to address the poverty situation?
Hadi Dande Jabe, board chair of Action Aid the Gambia, thanked Action Aid International and its partners for the time and efforts put into the research.
Action Aid is deeply committed to contributing to climate change and addressing the challenges of irregular migration. Our dedication to this cause is reflected in our persistent efforts to develop and implement effective strategies.
Alaji Jaju, the executive director of the National Youth Council, on behalf of the Minister of Information, thanked Action Aid International for commissioning such a report.
I will agree that there is a problem that we definitely need to address, and we will work as partners to address this challenge. It has been persistent, and we are losing so many of our able-bodied young people. I'm sure this body of research has provided so many recommendations that we can together act on.
The launch of this report comes at a critical time as the Gambia continues to face the impacts of climate change, including floods, droughts, and rising sea levels. It is hoped that the findings of this research will contribute to a greater understanding of the issue and lead to effective solutions that protect the rights and livelihoods of those affected by climate-induced mobility. For QTV News, Lolly M. Camara.
Let's now take a look at news beyond our borders. In what is probably the world's least surprising electoral outcome, Rwandan President Paul Kagame is on course to extend his 24-year rule by another 5 years. Following yet another landslide victory, he secured over 99% of the votes in Monday's presidential poll. Jordan Jai has the rest of that story.
The Electoral Commission says 98% of the more than 9.5 million eligible voters in a country of 14 million took part in the elections, making it the highest turnout ever in an African election. They were voting for a president and 53 legislators. Kagame's opponents, Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda and independent candidate Philip Mpanyimana, collectively received under 1% of the vote in provisional results, which accounted for 79% of all ballots cast. The result mirrored the outcome in 2017 when Kagame took nearly 99% of the vote. The counting of parliamentary votes is still underway, with over 500 candidates competing for over 80 seats in the Chamber of Deputies, the lower house of parliament. Kagame was eligible to run in the current election due to a 2015 constitutional amendment that allowed him to seek 3 additional terms. While this amendment permitted Kagame a 7-year term in 2017, it also reduced presidential terms to 5 years starting in 2024. President Kagame has led the East African country since he seized power as the head of rebels who took control of the government and ended the genocide in 1994. He was vice president and de facto leader from 1994 to 2000 when he became president. He has been condemned by many outside the country as a violent authoritarian, but praised by others for presiding over impressive growth in the 3 decades since the genocide. Since then, he has been running virtually unopposed. This election took place amid heightened fears of insecurity in Africa's Green Lakes region. Rebels known as the M23 are fighting Congolese forces in a remote area of the neighboring eastern DR Congo. Between 3,000 and 4,000 Rwandan forces are allegedly fighting alongside M23, United Nations experts said in a report last week. The US government has described the group as being backed by Rwanda. Rwanda, on the other hand, has denied any involvement and accused DR Congo's military of recruiting fighters who were among the perpetrators of the genocide. Elections for 27 special seats meant for women, young people, and people with disabilities will take place on Tuesday. Rwanda is the only country which stipulates a percentage of seats reserved for women and people with disabilities. For QTV News, I am Juldenyai.
Also in international news, Ivory Coast on Monday became the first West African country to start rolling out the newest malaria vaccine in an initiative that aims to cover about 250,000 children aged under 2. More in this report.
Malaria is the leading cause of death of children in Ivory Coast. The mosquito-transmitted disease kills 4 people a day, including 3 children under the age of 5, and remains the leading cause of medical consultations, according to the country's Ministry of Health. At the launching of the vaccination campaign, Ivory Coast Minister of Health, Pierre Demba, said the vaccination drive, SOS government's aim is to invest in the health of our children, who are the future of our country. The 3-dose vaccine, known as R21 Matrix M, was developed by Britain's Oxford University and was authorized by the World Health Organization last October. A different malaria vaccine called Mosquirix was endorsed by the WHO in 2021, but it required 4 doses and protection waned within months. India's Serum Institute has already made 25 million doses of the Oxford vaccine, and it says it plans to make at least 100 million every year. Malaria most often attacks children under 5 and pregnant women, and more than 94% of the world's roughly 249 million cases and 608,000 deaths every year are in Africa. Dr. Fatim Tal, acting WHO representative in Ivory Coast, says the vaccine will guarantee that children survive and reach adulthood without their lives being cut short by malaria. Despite the mass vaccination and effectiveness of the vaccines, health experts have warned that preventive measures like insecticide spraying and the use of bed nets will remain critical. The Gambia has made significant progress reducing malaria morbidity steadily over the past decade. Despite this, the disease is still a threat to public health, with the country's entire population of over 2 million at risk of infection, according to the US President's Malaria Initiative. Transmission occurs in the Gambia every year, with about 90% of cases occurring in the later stages of the country's annual rainy season between September to December. For QTV News, I am Juldenyai.
From that story by Juldenyai, let's recap our main headlines before we leave. Following another outbreak of poliovirus type 2 in the Gambia, the Ministry of Health is urging the public to get children vaccinated and to be vigilant for any symptoms of the disease. About 100 migrants and 2 suspected traffickers are in custody after the Gambia Immigration Department intercepted 2 boats on Tuesday in Kartong in the West Coast region and Barra in the North Bank region on Tuesday. Worried by the threats posed by irregular migration within the sub-region, the ECOWAS Parliament and representatives from the IOM are discussing measures to address the trend. ActionAid International, the Gambia, and ActionAid Italy on Wednesday launched a climate-induced mobility research report. And in international news, Rwandan President Paul Kagame is on course to extend his 24-year rule by another 5 years, following yet another landslide presidential election victory. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin, and do not forget to tune in for an interesting episode of Youth Dialogue. Thanks for watching.